Hello boaters, welcome to Narrowboat Journeys. Now this trip continues right from where we left off in the last one, at Fazeley Junction. We've just passed the junction and we're heading towards the village of Hopwas, and on the way we'll be passing a good place for boaters to stock up on some shopping, so more of that later. So I can't think of an awful lot to say in terms of commentary about this area. It's good visitor moorings here, very suburban, lots of new housing around. We'll shortly be heading out into the countryside again. This is Bone Hill Road Bridge, and immediately on the other side of it there's a winding hole. Just to remind you that in the last video I mentioned that from Fazeley Junction up to Fradley Junction the Coventry Canal becomes one with the Birmingham and Fazeley Canal, and from Fazeley Junction up to Fradley all the bridges have names rather than numbers. That's the only difference. Now that bridge up ahead, you can see that it'll have quite a lot of traffic on it. It's the A5 road bridge. This is a new bridge, it's not even on my maps. Neither the canal guidebooks or the Ordnance Survey maps that I've got show this one. So I was a bit surprised to see it, to be honest. However, on the other side of the A5 road bridge, we've got some good visitor moorings here, and to the right you've got the Ventura Retail Park. There's a lot of shops there, very useful for boaters. You're over on the left of the map, and I've marked in some of the main shops. There are plenty of other ones there though, so it's quite a useful place to stop. It's a bit of a walk and the roads are quite busy, but useful all the same. The footpath to access the retail park is about here. You can't actually see it in the video, but it's close to this bridge. You don't have to go up onto the road. The moorings are not quite so good on this side of the bridge. Look out, Mr. Duck. Those trees on the right side of the picture, on the other side of those there's a load of factory units. You can't really see them from the canal as such, but there's quite a lot of buildings there, and they continue up into this stretch as well. But now we're starting to get out into the countryside again, on our way to Hopwas. Those woods that you can see there in the background are the Hopwas Hayes Woods, and you can go in there. It's quite an interesting place to walk around. They do some military training there, so some days it's closed to the public, but it's only like 2 or 3 days a month, and there are flags at the various entry points to let you know whether you can go in or not. We're starting to get close to Hopwas now. These are some very pleasant little moorings. Can moor here if you want, but there are some official visitor moorings a bit further on the other side of the village, and they're really quite lovely. Up ahead is the main road bridge that goes through Hopwas. There's two pubs here, one immediately here on the left and another one immediately here on the right. And just beyond that bridge there's a social club which anyone can visit. There used to be a shop. When I was here 20 years ago there was a shop and I think a post office as well, but that's all closed down now. So as far as I know you've got two pubs and a social club and that's it. But it's a very pretty little village. There's also a very attractive church. I didn't manage to get a photograph of it this time, but it's worth having a look at. Quite unusual. Those ducks just don't care, do they? Not in the slightest bit bothered. Here's the social club I mentioned over on the left there. And the sun's coming out at last. It's been a really grim and grey day. This is Hopwa's school bridge, and as you might guess there's a school very close by, just over to the right here. It's mostly young kids. They're a bit noisy but it's okay here. The visitor moorings start just a little bit around this corner. To start with they're 48 hours, then after that you're on to 14 days again. Be a bit mindful about boat security here. I haven't really heard any horror stories or anything like that, but the local teenagers like to hang out in the woods, and walking down the towpath is the way to get to the woods, so that you do get a number of older kids hanging around. But like I say, it was quite peaceful when I was here, and I've not really heard of any stories of any trouble. Well, I think I'm going to moor up here for a few days. Time to let the cats out. They'll be glad to get out. This was a bit of a longer trip than I normally do. I was boating for about 3.5 hours, I think. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. The journey will continue in the next video, so I'll see you next time.